All right, let's jump right into this exam review explainer on A.G. Gardiner's classic essay on the rule of the road. So if you've got a test coming up on Unit 4, you are absolutely in the right place. We're going to break down this deeply thoughtful piece about liberty, social responsibility, and human behavior. By the end of this, you'll have the exact evidence, the killer vocabulary, and the core arguments you need to confidently crush your written response. But before we get into the text itself, I want you to really think about something. Can you do whatever you want, whenever you want? Seriously, think about your answer to that, because how you and how society as a whole answers it is the exact conflict sitting right at the heart of Gardiner's argument. I mean, sure, it sounds absolutely amazing in theory to have zero boundaries, right? But as we're about to see, the reality of living side by side with other human beings makes this a seriously complicated question. And heads up, it's frequently the exact hook examiners use to test your understanding of the essay. To make sure you nail this and remember everything clearly, we're structuring this explainer into 5 specific buckets of evidence. 1, the main theme. 2, the Liberty Drunk Old Lady. 3, the Piccadilly policeman symbol. 4, personal choices versus the trombone. And 5, the final exam takeaway. Starting off with Section 1, the main theme, balancing liberty. Okay, so Gardiner's crucial point right out of the gate is that individual liberty simply cannot exist if it harms others. It just can't. Personal freedom and social responsibility absolutely have to walk hand in hand. Basically, you can't do whatever you want if it hurts, endangers, or seriously inconveniences the people around you. This right here is the core thesis of the entire essay. So if you get an exam prompt asking about Gardiner's central argument, or if you need to build an opening introduction paragraph, grab this golden thesis statement. Liberty is a balancing act. Without that balance, society basically just collapses into total selfishness. Moving on to Section 2, the Liberty Drunk Old Lady and how people misunderstand freedom. All right, here is a massive, examiner favorite vocabulary word you need to write down and memorize right now. Liberty drunk. Gardiner uses this exact phrase to describe a super powerful anecdote in the essay. He talks about an old lady who stubbornly walks right down the dead center of a busy road, and when someone points out that the pavement is meant for pedestrians and she's totally blocking traffic, she just snaps back, "I will walk where I like, it's my liberty." So, Gardiner labels people like her as liberty drunk. They completely misunderstand what true freedom actually is. Examiners love it when you analyze this specific anecdote. Why? Because it perfectly shows that by only thinking of themselves, people like this old lady actually become a genuine threat to society. Their unchecked freedom creates this dangerous chaos that literally strips away the freedom of everyone else just trying to safely use the road. Let's hit Section 3, the Piccadilly policeman symbol, and the symbol of true liberty. Now, this brilliantly illustrates the stark contrast you really need to memorize to score highly on your essay. Actually, if you want a top-tier body paragraph, contrast these two symbols directly against each other. On the one side, we've got the old lady representing total chaos, selfishness, and a deep, fundamental misunderstanding of freedom. On the flip side, we have Gardiner's ultimate symbol of true liberty, the policeman directing traffic at a busy London intersection, specifically Piccadilly Circus. Now, at first glance, some people might think an authority figure standing in the road, putting his hand up to stop traffic, is literally taking away people's freedom, right? But Gardiner argues the exact opposite. He says the policeman is the true symbol of liberty, because without him enforcing the rule of the road and making people wait their turn, there'd be total gridlock, a massive traffic jam. No one would be able to move freely at all. So order, which is enforced through mutual respect, is actually what makes liberty possible in the first place. Which brings us to Section 4, personal choices versus the trombone and the limits of liberty. Now, to show your examiner you really grasp the nuance of the essay, you have to prove that Gardiner isn't saying you have zero freedom. Far from it. For rapid-fire memorization, jot down these examples of true individual liberties. Let's say you want to dye your hair some crazy color. Go for it. You don't need anyone's permission. You want to sleep super late or maybe wake up at the crack of dawn? Cool. No one is harmed. Feel like waxing your mustache into some fancy curly shape? That is entirely up to you. These are perfect examples to drop into your exam to show that Gardiner completely supports personal liberty because these specific actions stay strictly personal. They don't cross the line. They do not infringe on anyone else's peace or safety. But contrast those strictly personal choices with the whole trombone player scenario. This is a brilliant progression to write about in an essay because it escalates step by step from a totally harmless action into a massive societal problem. Okay, step 1. Gardiner says if you want to practice the trombone, you can absolutely play it. Heck, play it at the top of Mount Everest. That's perfectly fine because literally no one is there to hear it. But step 2, what if you play it in your bedroom at midnight? Well, now your liberty is actively disturbing your family's liberty to sleep. Step 3. What if you take that trombone right out into the street in the middle of the night? Now you're disturbing the entire neighborhood. This escalating narrative perfectly demonstrates how an action that starts as a simple, innocent, personal liberty quickly turns into a major problem for society the exact second it strips away the peace and freedom of the people around you. And finally, Section 5, the final exam takeaway, and your exam synthesis. If you want top marks for your conclusion, you need to synthesize Gardiner's main points cleanly. He concludes that individual liberty must always be balanced with the needs of society, because a lack of balance just leads straight to chaos and anarchy, just like our old lady in the road. But the really beautiful, profound point he makes, and honestly, this is a great direct quote to weave right into your test, is that our small daily habits and behaviors dictate whether life is bitter or sweet. It's not just about grand laws or massive government rules. It's about everyday human courtesy. So take a breath and really lock this in. The absolute crucial point to write down and memorize as your ultimate essay closing takeaway is this exact definition of true liberty. True liberty is not doing whatever you want. It means enjoying your freedom without taking away the freedom of others. I'll say that again. Enjoying your freedom without taking away the freedom of others. Social order and personal freedom absolutely must walk hand in hand. As we wrap up this explainer, I'm going to leave you with a mock exam prompt to really think about and practice with. How will you balance your daily habits to ensure social order and personal freedom walk hand in hand? Think about your own life, your own potential trombones, and how your actions impact the people around you. Being able to connect this text to real-life behavior is the absolute key to understanding it. Good luck on your Unit 4 exam, study hard, and you've absolutely got this.